you do anticipate the National Football League will make a move here.
That's right, Greeny. And they have a real conundrum. On the one hand, they want to give credibility to this new collectively bargained process that a third party, Judge Robinson, will handle player discipline. However, with that said, because of the political sensitivity of this case and with 24 women alleging at a minimum misconduct by Deshaun Watson or even worse, I think that's going to leave the league no choice, Greeny, but to use their collectively bargained right and to appeal to Roger Goodell or his designee. And I think based on the reaction that you just read and where a lot of the sentiment is going, I expect the league to exercise their right in the next day or so.
So, Jeff, how does that connect to with what you were hearing yesterday? I'm sure you spent the entire day working the phones. We know what people outside the league were saying. What were people inside football saying?
Well, I would say it goes beyond the political sensitivity here because most people within the league were also looking at this process, which is new to them as well, saying, wow, 6-game suspension, that's interesting. Considering when you looked at Sue Robinson's report, ultimately she concluded that the NFL was within its merits of suggesting a 1-year suspension, that all of the facts that they presented to Sue Robinson did hold up when it came to Deshaun Watson's situation. But ultimately, where the difference was between Sue Robinson and the NFL was within the punishment itself. So the NFL, which suggested a 1-year suspension, now has the power and ability, which was negotiated within the collective bargaining agreement, to say, you know what, 6 games wasn't enough, considering what Sue Robinson did conclude within her findings, and we're going to change that. And again, Greeny, they have until Thursday to do that.
And for what it's worth, again, some might say, well, in this new process, there is this independent party, and she has ruled. But it is also part of the process, collectively bargained and agreed to by both sides, that either side can appeal, and that appeal goes directly to the commissioner or the commissioner's designee. So this is theoretically still part, well, not theoretically, this is literally still part of the process.
That's
Jeff,
exactly right.
I would be curious, though, Jeff, what other things were you hearing from people inside the league? What was the reaction generally to the 6 games?
I think when I reached out to players, coaches, general managers, they were feeling what felt like was being echoed on social media and perhaps with all of us, which is, you know, a little bit of confusion that you could read the report from Sue Robinson. And really, I would argue I didn't hear from anybody who felt other than this sentiment that you read what Sue Robinson found within her report, again, siding with the NFL and the facts that were presented, but ultimately was looking at this saying a 6-game suspension relative to some of the other suspensions that have been handed out, whether it be Calvin Ridley with the 1 year for gambling. And I know precedent is a very dangerous thing to look at when it's very different circumstances, but throughout the league, the sense that I got was most people looking at this new disciplinary process could not understand how it was, quite honestly, merely a 6-game suspension.
All right, so let's hear then from the people who made their living inside this league for a long time. D. Wood, I'll start with you. I've not had a chance to talk to you. What was your reaction? And I know that you were also I saw videos of you at the Jets camp, so maybe you had a chance just to get a sense of what other players, active players, thought of it. What thoughts, if any, did they share, and what are your thoughts?
Greeny, I was surprised. I was surprised when the punishment was handed down by Sue Robinson. The fact that, you know, it seemed like it was more so based on precedent in this particular case. You know, I tend to go back to the Ezekiel Elliott, Big Ben, you know, both of their situations, and the fact that both of them got, I believe, 6 games apiece. And you contrast that with what Deshaun Watson was accused of and the findings that Sue Robinson had, basically siding with the league as far as, what they were saying as far as how they presented their case, but ultimately coming back with a 6-game suspension. It's just hard to contrast, those 2 prior situations and what Deshaun Watson, was accused of doing and saying, well, I want to give him 6 games. You're talking about in the other situations, one individual as opposed to 24 victims in this particular case. And to arrive at 6 games, I just felt like it was incredibly light by the arbiter in this particular situation.
So do you feel, D. Wood, again, as a person who played in this league, a person who has given as much of your life to the league and to its to what it stands for as you have, do you believe the NFL should go in and hand down a more firm penalty?
I do, Greeny, because I feel a way about this particular, just domestic assault, domestic violence in particular. What Deshaun Watson is accused of is egregious, and that's what Sue L. Robinson said multiple times in the report. Is egregious, predatory. I mean, when you're using that type of language, you would think that the punishment handed down would be very harsh, and it's hard to match up those type of words, that type of language with 6 games. It's just hard for me to wrap my mind around that.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.